One of the things that I love about naval special warfare is they stack the odds in their favor. The surprise, the speed, the violence. We're not there to stay in place for a long period of time. We're going there, achieve a mission, and get out. We're not trying to go toe-to-toe with a bigger force. We're trying to do things like a scalpel. I think if you have this idea when you come out of naval special warfare and you're like, look at me, I'm a Navy SEAL, that's not the attitude you want to have. You're just a piece of a bigger pie, which is Department of Defense, and there's Air Force and Navy and Army and Marine Corps, and we're all working together to achieve an end result. And we have a piece of that. We're not the saviors of the United States of America. We're just a piece of this.
People consider me a risk taker. I've been in martial arts my life. I'm a pilot. I've always run businesses. And they say, well, you're a risk taker. You're not afraid. I say, well, I'm really, yes, I suppose, but I've never really thought of being a pilot as a risk taker because I do all the calculated measurements to reduce fear. When I run a business, I guess you could look at it that way, but I really don't ever feel like I'm taking a big risk because I've calculated that. What is your, because the example is a SEAL that you could give is way bigger than what I've provided there. How did readiness reduce fear? A. B, it doesn't eliminate it. So when you were in the face of it, how did you and the guys handle that?
So there's a couple things to this. Like one, readiness is like foundational, and answering that question it's incredibly important. But I think the other thing is understanding that I understand basics of medicine, but I'm not the medic. I understand basics of communication, but I'm not the RTO or the radio man. I understand the basics of joint terminal air traffic controlling, but I'm not the JTAC. I understand the basics of being a sniper, but I'm not a sniper. I understand the basics of breaching, but I'm not the breacher. So I can touch those things and I can speak intelligently to them, but I also know I'm not the expert there. So understanding and bringing the team into the problem solving versus trying to be the genius in the room, now those guys are invested in it. So a lot of this, when you come down to mission planning, it's not just Sam's good idea. It's here's the target. What do we think about this? And so now you get input, buy-in. That's huge. And then one of the things that I love about naval special warfare is they stack the odds in their favor. So everything, the surprise, the speed, the violence, that's trained. Like we understand that those things are necessary because we're not there to stay in place for a long period of time. We're going there, achieve a mission, and get out. We're not trying to go toe-to-toe with a bigger force. We're trying to do things like a scalpel and precision. And we understand that we have better training. We're not better than other people. Like, I think if you have this idea when you come out of naval special warfare and you're like, look at me, I'm a Navy SEAL, that's not the attitude you want to have. You're just a piece of a bigger pie, which is Department of Defense, and there's Air Force and Navy and Army and Marine Corps, and we're all working together to achieve an end result at a time of war or conflict. And we have a piece of that. We're not the saviors of the United States of America. We're just a piece of this. And so understanding what your job is, being good at your job, and being known that you can be counted on, okay, great, that's our role. And so when it comes to, readiness, sure, that reduces fear. When it comes to tactics, having everyone's buy-in, so it's not just relying on one individual source for a good idea, that reduces fear. Understanding that there's seasoned individuals at varying levels of experience in your platoon that are providing their input, huge. And I think all of this builds on itself too. That experience in a platoon, if I could, I'd just like to share two stories. One, kind of going back to training. When I got out of training, I went to a SEAL team on the West Coast. And the first day you're in your gear, they call it dress blue. So you're, lack of a better word, your fancy uniform, and you're showing up. And I remember my first day at the team, the warfighters had just gotten back from deployment. And they were getting awarded for all of their escapades downrange and their valor. And so here I am. As a new guy, I've done nothing other than train for the last year and a half, going through training, and I'm in the back with all these warfighters, like alpha males, and they go, hey, we got 5 new guys. Why don't we just come up and we'll introduce them to everybody? And I went first just because of my last name starts with a B. And so I'm first up, and I'm standing in front of like 70 warfighters. I go, hey, everyone, I'm Sam, my favorite color is blue. And the next thing I know, like all of them are on their feet, just yelling, shut up. I was like, oh, okay. So I stopped talking, and they sit down, and I was like, anyways, and I start telling more about myself, and they like lose their mind. Like, man, this guy's a slow learner. You know, what they're trying to highlight is we don't care. You know, like, you're a new guy. You might think you're somebody because you have a trident on your chest, but guess what? So do we. And we don't get to walk around with this outside of this compound. So hopefully you like to do the job, you know, and now it's time to train. And that was like seared into my brain. Like, oh, wow. It's train, and then train some more, go deploy, come back, 2 weeks off, and you just keep training. And that's all we did. Like, that was the life. And I did that life for close to a decade of just train. And so that builds confidence. But when you're working with guys that love to train and love their profession, love their craft, and are good at it, and you get to step into the ranks with them, I mean, that also reduces fear. You're like, these guys are all studs, all of them. And they're teaching me the craft. And that's a strong group.
Hey there, Giant. Thanks for watching Durand On Demand. I need your help with something. The world desperately needs more giants. You know it, and I know it. We've been around a lot of people struggling, figuring out how to make things go. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this with as many people as you can. We're going to build this audience, and we're going to help people slay dragons together.